So you're thinking about moving to Alpharetta, Georgia, but you need to know everything, the good and the bad, and that's exactly what we're going to cover in this video. Now there's a lot of positives, but there are a couple negatives that we want you to be aware of before making the move to Alpharetta, and we're going to get after it right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good and the bad of living in Atlanta, Georgia, or this case, Alpharetta, then subscribe below and click the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market conditions here in Atlanta, Georgia. My name is Denny Faircloth, and the team and I get calls every single day from people just like you looking for help on their move to Atlanta, and we absolutely love it. So whether you move in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, and we'd be happy to help you make it a smooth move to Atlanta, or in this case, Alpharetta. And as I mentioned before, this video is all about the good and the bad, the pros and the cons of living in Atlanta. And I don't know if you knew this, but I have walked in your shoes. I have literally moved across the country multiple times throughout my life. So whether you're moving from LA or Chicago or New York or maybe Dallas, Fort Worth, I've been there and done that. Seriously. My wife and I, we were here in Atlanta, and prior to being married, right after college, I decided, I was born and raised in Augusta, Georgia, went to college in Atlanta, lived here for years, and then after college decided I was going to move to the big city. So I went to New York, and then after September 11th, I was like, wow, man, I didn't sign up for that. Moved back to Atlanta. Now, at the time, I didn't have anything to move with. It was just like suitcases, right? But then my girlfriend and I, before we got married, she decided she wanted to go to fashion school in LA. So we moved all the way to California, put our stuff in a U-Haul, and I drove it with my dog across the country. Then we got engaged when she was done, and decided to plant roots in Chicago, moved to Chicago, and again, this time we hired a moving company to move our stuff. Had a terrible experience with that. Then we moved from Chicago to Dallas, Fort Worth, and her company actually paid for that one, so we got like the real, VIP service, which was great. And then last we had 2 babies in Chicago, and then moved our family back to Atlanta. We always seem to come back to Atlanta. I love it, so it makes sense, and I would love to be a resource in making that transition for you easier. So really this video is all about, answering a lot of those questions that might be running through your mind, like what it's like to live in Alpharetta, and really maybe even address some of those things that you're not thinking about as it relates to living in Alpharetta. And we live here, so we live, work, and play in this area, so we'd be glad to share you kind of my thoughts. And I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of hard to come up with some of the cons, so let's start right there. So the first one is going to be the traffic. I know, right? Big city. There was terrible traffic in all those cities. But Alpharetta is about 45 minutes north outside of the center city of Atlanta. And so if you work in Atlanta in the metro and you're going to be driving back and forth, well, then you should probably consider that. It's a long drive or a long commute. That's with no traffic. It could be double that with traffic. Now, if you're really into audiobooks or podcasts, maybe that's okay with you, but definitely something to consider. The airport is also, I'll just lump that in with the location. The airport is on the other side of the city, so it's going to be at least an hour, maybe even a little bit longer if you're going to go down to the airport. So those are 2 things to consider when considering the commute. And last but not least, as it relates to traffic, is the local traffic. There's not a ton of it, but definitely like the morning school time rush, or you can live, work, and play just in Alpharetta. And even if you do maybe the morning rush or the late afternoon after school or after work, there is a bit of traffic, on some of the smaller roads. It can get more congested. So there's over 65,000 people in Alpharetta alone, so it's not a huge market, but it's not a tiny town either. So keeping up with the growth, and there's been a lot of it here, is a bit of a challenge. The next thing is the weather, and I would be remiss, it's called Hot Atlanta for a reason, and Alpharetta is no different, and so the summers are very hot. Now, I love the weather from the standpoint that there's 4 seasons, so you do get a true spring, summer, fall, winter, and you get to experience all of that. I could probably put that over in the pros, but I didn't. But I did use the weather as a con because the summer is very hot. In addition to the hot summer, talking about weather, my allergies kind of go crazy. At least once or twice a year, the pollen just kind of explodes around here, and all of a sudden your entire vehicle and your house and the playground, everything's covered in yellow pollen. And if you have allergies, then that could be an issue. Another thing might be if you're a party animal. Now, I used to be, way back when. I've settled down a lot. But if you're it's not that there's not anything fun. There's lots of attractions and entertainment and lots of fun to be had here. But if you're wanting to hit up a nightclub and stay out all hours of the night and do things of that nature, like you're probably going to need to take an Uber into the city maybe, and then Uber back out here, but Alpharetta is not the place to be. And so if you're doing that like every night of the week, then that might be of value to you, and Alpharetta is probably not the place. Now, if economic opportunity and attractions and entertainment and that kind of, outdoors, those things are fun, well then this is a great place to live. Let me see. I think there's one more con. Oh, I know what it was. Cost of living. It's not that Alpharetta is expensive. It's probably relatively affordable, especially if you're relocating from an LA or California, Illinois, Chicago, New York, some place like that. The cost of living is going to be great, but it is higher than maybe some other more rural or less developed suburbs of Atlanta. So that is something to consider. And now that we've kind of talked about the cons, let's get to my favorite part, which are all the great reasons that you might want to live in Alpharetta. So the first is that it's really well developed and thoughtfully planned out. And so, I talk a lot about this concept of live, work, play. You really can get everything you need on, the regular, daily, weekly kind of your life. Now, if you want to shoot down to Atlanta for like an Atlanta United game, obviously Atlanta has all the major professional soccer teams like Atlanta United and the Falcons and the Braves and the Hawks. And so that's in the city. And again, we're 45 minutes north, but it's a very well developed area. So you can live, work, and play and have a phenomenal lifestyle here in Alpharetta. The second is with that comes economic opportunity. So the market's booming. There's lots of business. There's lots of job growth. So if you're looking to do anything in terms of your career, and maybe you're being transferred here from your career, there's a lot of tech jobs, but really a thriving economy here as well. Along that same line, when we talk about live, work, play, the economy plays into the work piece of it, but when it comes to living, there's grocery stores, restaurants, shops, all of the things that you need every single day to enjoy life can be found within minutes of your home. So it's really well developed in terms of your daily life. And then last but not least, when it comes to playing, there's lots of attractions, lots of entertainment. There's Ameris Bank Amphitheater where there's concerts and things of that nature. So there's really is just like the Avalon, Halcyon, the Maxwell. Those are all really massive developments where there's restaurants and retail and shopping and entertainment and movie theaters and all the things that you could possibly imagine. So there's going to be no shortage of both, it's date night for you and your wife, or some family fun, or things to enjoy for all the different seasons, for all the different holidays, for all kinds of different events. So it's really lots of entertainment. So when I say live, work, play, it really is all those things. Another great thing about living in Alpharetta would be the schools. These are highly ranked public schools or highly rated public schools here, both across the state and nationally. So you're going to get a ton of options as it relates to the school systems. Really not a bad one in Alpharetta, but obviously there are pros and cons within each of those school systems, and we can kind of help you navigate which one would be best for you. And on to the next one, which is parks and recreation. I have 4 young children, and so they're all very involved in sports and parks and recreation. So in that, Wills Park is one of them. That's near the downtown Alpharetta City Center. There's parks everywhere all across Alpharetta. But you're talking about baseball, soccer, football, basketball, tennis, walking trails, equestrian, horse ride, like everything you can possibly think of. Massive pools, and like both public and private pools. And then as it relates to sports, like if you throw a dart, hit a golf ball, whatever analogy you want to use, like you're probably going to land at some kind of a well-developed sports complex. And so youth sports and parks and recreation is a really big thing around here, and it makes for a really great quality of life, especially if you're raising a family. Now the next one, which people don't really talk about a lot, is proximity to the lake. 400 is the highway that kind of comes out of downtown Atlanta and heads up here through Alpharetta. And Alpharetta is both on the west and east side of 400. And as you're traveling up 400, if you just keep going maybe a couple miles past Alpharetta, you're going to run into Lake Lanier. And on Lake Lanier, I mean, think about everything about a lake life that you could imagine, from boats and jet skis, fishing, restaurants, entertainment, all of those things. So a lot of people from the local community from Alpharetta spend their summer weekends, water park, all the things that come with lake life. So if you're a lake rat, as they would call me when I was a kid, then you're really going to love the proximity to Lake Lanier. And for some more outdoor enjoyment, if you head right past the lake, you're going to end up in the mountains. So, Alpharetta being north of Atlanta, a lot of people don't know this about Georgia, but North Georgia is very mountainous. There's lots of mountains out there. And so if you want to go for a hike, or you want to get out in nature, or you want to spend some time in a state park or any of those things, well then the lake is pretty close and the mountains aren't that much further. In this next one, I want to talk about the people, which is near and dear, because I'll lump in with the people is just diversity. There are people from all walks of life, all ages, all races, all economic diversity, and there's just a really great culture in Alpharetta. Sure, you can stick to your play in your own sandbox and stick to yourself if you want, but life's just better in community, and there is a vast, very diverse community here in Alpharetta, and the people are, in general, really, really great. That southern hospitality and southern charm is definitely felt here in Alpharetta, and there's a ton of amazing people that you're going to get a chance to meet from all over the world. Atlanta being a melting pot and having the busiest airport in the world, and you can imagine that a lot of people land here in Atlanta, and Alpharetta being a great place, the number one suburb to live in Atlanta, a lot of them land here. So it's another great thing about living in Atlanta. Well, that's it for our pros and cons. I doubt that it's a complete list, and if you've ever lived in Alpharetta or you live here now, then please leave a comment below and let us know what your pros and cons would be, because let's face it, the people watching this video, they're looking for information, and that would be very valuable for them. I know they would appreciate it. We appreciate it as well. We appreciate all of you that watch our videos and comment. If you're not already, subscribe and tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market here in Atlanta, or in this case, Alpharetta, Georgia. We appreciate all of our subscribers, as well as our past and current clients, and those of you who haven't yet reached out. If you do need to reach us, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, and we will be happy to help you make a smooth move to Alpharetta, Georgia.